banter before the, and my mind went completely blank.
Banter.
I have nothing fun to say. I'm really happy that the Chiefs got their ass kicked in the Super Bowl.
Oh yes, go Eagles!
Yeah, go Eagles. I think I said to you before the Super Bowl last weekend.
Yeah,
I go, no, the Chiefs are going to win. It's planned. It's all
right. You said that.
it's all scripted, and I was wrong. I was dead wrong.
Yeah, you were saying that the refs were, making it easier for the Chiefs to make it.
Yeah,
I was on the other narrative where, since we have Trump and, America is back or whatever they're saying, that would make sense the Eagles would win.
Yeah, and I think you were right. They didn't only win; they kicked ass.
They really did. Yeah.
I mean, they stomped the Chiefs, and I'm a Broncos fan, so I love seeing the Chiefs get their ass kicked. But man, oh man, that was so sad.
Yeah, it was almost going to stay 0, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't score to like the second half.
They didn't get into the opposing field until the third quarter. I mean, the Eagles really kicked their ass. I mean, people are going to look at the score and they're going to go, 40-22. Maybe it was a close game. No. If anyone who's watching those 20 points that the Chiefs scored, it was all in garbage time. It was,
exactly.
they didn't.
It was at the end.
Yeah.
Right. It was at the end.
Yeah.
They were nothing was going to change that score when they started scoring.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Do you know what the odds were? I mean, were the odds in the favor of the Chiefs?
I have no idea. I'm assuming they were. I don't know though.
Yeah. Damn, I should have bet. Oh no, never mind. Betting is terrible.
Go Eagles. Really happy for the win, and really happy to be doing this episode of the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
That's right.
That is I Have a Need to Know, Adam.
Hey, everybody.
And I am the one, the only, the Topher.
Yeah. Hey, Topher, what's up?
Oh, just another day in paradise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
gotta go to work tomorrow. Had to work on Friday.
Yeah, we were talking earlier that the kids had some time off. Actually, Friday and Monday off. So I was asking if he was off. I wasn't off, and I'm not off tomorrow either. Yeah.
And I am so excited for this episode because we're covering something that I literally have no knowledge about.
Nice.
Yeah. I was telling you before we hit record, I don't know anything about this topic, and I'm really excited to learn more about it.
Cool, man. Yeah, it's the Cash Landrum one. I think I first heard about it through Richard Dolan. It might be one of his books. That because his the UFO. What is it? UFOs and National Security State. So one of those books, I think.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, where it comes from. So there was a lot of research, a lot of government research into it. Apparently there was government involvement maybe. So, but yeah, we can go into that. And then there's a lot of UFO news also this week. Some big news happening in Congress with Luna and whatnot.
Our favorite politician.
She's changed her name.
It's a way a lot of stuff.
Yes, she is. I think there's pictures of her in bikini. So I don't know if she wasn't she was a stripper, I think.
Yeah, before. I was going to say I wasn't going to bring that up unless you did, but yeah.
She was a stripper. Yeah. She was raised up around here, our area.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so she's a California girl, and I guess she went to Florida and became a representative there. I think that's called carpetbagging, when you go to a state you haven't grown up in or something, or an area, and run for
sure. Government. And for all of our listeners, go out, go to your favorite strip club. You never know when they're going to become a politician, and so just get friendly with all of them.
Give them good tips. Exactly.
Yeah, good tips. Hey.
So Cash Landrum, we can get into that. Not too much. I mean, there's not it's not a huge case like Roswell or Rendlesham Forest, but still, it's a very important case with physical evidence.
Hell yeah.
Which a lot of these cases are lacking. So, why don't we play our new song?
Oh, let's play it.
All right, and we can get started.
and I can't feel my body. The room is dark, the people are shady. Their heads are too big, their bodies too small. They poke me with things that make my skin crawl. Oh my God, I don't think these are people at all. Now I'm running for my life. Need to get back to my kids, back to my wife. The little gray men, they point and screech. They must be upset that I'm off the leash. But don't worry, this will never happen to you. Because Adam and Topher will see you all through. Just keep listening to the UAP podcast. And keep your eyes up with your 2 feet moving fast. Just woke up and I can't feel my body. The room is dark, the people are shady. Their heads are too big, their bodies too small. They poke me with things that make my skin crawl. Oh my God, I don't think these are people at all. Now I'm running for my life. Need to get back to my kids, back to my wife. The little gray men, they point and screech, and they must be upset that I'm off the leash. But don't worry, this will never happen to you. Because Adam and Topher will see you all through. Just keep listening to the UAP podcast. And keep your eyes up with your 2 feet moving fast. Running for your 2 feet moving fast. Now I'm running for my life. Need to get back to my kids, back to my wife. The little gray man, they want to screech. They must be upset that I'm off the leash. But don't worry, this will never happen to you. Because Adam and Topher will see you all through. Just keep listening to the UAP podcast. And keep your eyes up with your 2 feet moving fast. But don't worry, this will never happen to you. Because Adam and Topher will see you all through.
That's right. We see you all through.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna keep going like this forever. I mean, you can hit pause at any time.
Pause.
All right. It will
That's a
go
long
on.
song, huh?
Yeah, it'll go on forever. Suno does this really fun thing. That's the app that I use to make this song.
Yeah.
It doesn't know when to stop.
So you can't say like a 2-minute song.
Yeah. So, well, what's really fun is if you listen to this song, it just cuts off randomly.
And starts again.
Yeah. Well, no. Yes. Yeah.
You mean at the end, like it doesn't fade away, or
right?
It doesn't end correctly. It'll just end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I'll get there.
It just randomly cuts off.
But good song.
It's great. I sent that to you, and I kept listening to it over and over and over again because I did not know when the song ended, and so it just loops and repeats itself. And I was like, "Oh my God, okay."
So, like 2 minutes in, we could probably just pause it.
Yeah,
playing the whole thing.
Yeah.
How fun, man! I love those.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully our listeners, you got the gist of it, dear listener.
Listen to the UAP podcast, and you won't be abducted.
Right.
It isn't about an abduction, right? Yes, it is.
It is. Yeah, no, it totally is. Fun fact, I was at work while I wrote that song.
See how easy it is, folks.
I was at work. I had a Word document open, like really small, and I was like counting syllables. I mean, I really went all in
Oh
on that.
wow! All right,
Yeah.
that's why then it was produced really well because
Yeah.
you made it
Yeah.
easy for the algorithm.
I was like, oh, okay, so this word rhymes with this. Okay, perfect. So here are the syllables, and okay, this is 12 syllables. That's too long. I need to back it up. 8 syllables. Okay, this one needs to go a little bit
Oh my
longer. Yeah,
god! All right,
it was
okay,
fun, man.
nice,
I
very
really
nice.
have a good time writing these
Well,
songs.
keep it coming, keep it coming.
All right, good. I'll
Yes,
do that.
we've gotten some good feedback too about the song. So.
I took your notes instead of doing sad
Well, I
female
mean,
piano
I think
playing
that's
music.
nice. I think that's nice for the outros, right? Before we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you can keep those coming too. I
Okay.
like those.
All
Yeah.
right, great.
All right. So let's get into the Cash Landrum UFO case. This is from the 1980s. So Betty Cash, Vicky Landrum, and 70-year-old Colby Landrum reported in 1980 that they had an encounter with a UFO that was being chased by a number of military-style helicopters in Huffman, Texas. Several health issues were experienced by all 3 witnesses to the Cash Landrum UFO incident. So that's why they think UFO, military involvement, because the helicopters.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
The 3 Oldsmobile Cutlass occupants near Huffman, Texas, saw something extraordinary on December 29th, 1980, so almost New Year's, on their drive back home in Dayton from East Texas. Betty Cash, Vicky Landrum, and Vicky's 7-year-old grandson Colby observed a large light above the trees in the distance while they were driving through the southern tip of the East Texas piney woods.
Hell yeah.
There's a picture of it.
Volkswagen. What's the name of the car?
Oldsmobile.
Oldsmobile. The Cutlass. Oh,
yes.
Hell
the
yeah.
Cutlass. I think cop cars use that too, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, not anymore. Now they're all Dodge Chargers.
Oh yeah. Or and then the SUV Ford Explorers, I think.
Oh yeah.
So here's 2 of them, Cash and Landrum. I wonder where the boy is, if they've interviewed him. So initially, the sight of the light was lost for a short time until it reappeared when they reached a straight stretch of a 2-lane highway on FM 1485 after rounding a curve. As it approached, it floated over the road at a height of no more than a tree top, and flames were coming out of its bottom. The object was only around 130 feet away from Cash and Landrum's.
Wow.
Since the road they were on was so narrow and the ground so moist and damp, it was impossible to get away from the UFO. Betty Cash was driving, and she knew that if she tried to turn around, the automobile would get stuck. When Betty and Vicky got out of the car, the frantic screams of young Colby drew them back toward the vehicle. So pretty scary so far.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I mean, I want this to happen to me. Unfortunately, we live in an area where you don't get to just hang out on the highway and there's no one else around. I mean, there's always traffic where we are.
I think people drive around less. I mean, like, for fun. People just go to work, come home, maybe pick up groceries, but just going around the woods randomly, people don't do that anymore.
It's a shame. It's a damn shame. We need to start a new movement. Drive randomly. Go. This is a shout out to our listeners. Go drive randomly someplace, anywhere.
With dash cams.
Yeah, with dash cams. Just drive, baby, drive.
So the UFO was dull metallic in color and looked like a huge diamond whose top and bottom were flat instead of pointed. The woman allegedly surrounded the object's center while flames shot out of the bottom in an outwards direction, creating a cone effect. The women stated, witnesses reported that they could feel the heat in their faces the entire time.
Yikes.
Yeah, the car became so hot due to the UFO's flame that they were not able to even touch it. In one instance, Vicky Landrum, leaning out the front window, tried to steady herself by placing her hands on the dashboard, only to discover that it had molded to the shape of her fingers. when John Schuessler of MUFON checked the car, the impressions were still there. A few minutes later, when Cash tried to get back into the car, the door handle burned her fingers.
So they were lesbians, right?
I no. I was gonna say maybe, but then there was a kid there.
Well, that doesn't.
That's true. That's true.
There's nothing against people
No,
being
not at
gay,
all.
but it just it's suspect.
Yes, they might have been part of the gay community.
That's fine. I'm not ripping on them if they are gay, but
But to be clear, we don't know that.
Yeah, and I had to make a joke about it.
All right, shall I continue?
Yeah, please.
The UFO climbed slowly into the sky with a final explosion of fire and heat. When the UFO was just clearing the treetops, helicopters from all directions began to arrive. After that, no one could see the helicopters or UFOs anymore. UFOs. The three of them proceeded on their way. 5 minutes later, they arrived at the intersection of FM 1485 and FM 2100, where they once again observed the UFO and the helicopters. Cash counted and was able to see all 23 helicopters clearly because of the UFO's light reflecting off of them. The Army and the Marine Corps have both used the huge double-rotor Boeing CH-47 Chinooks that were spotted there.
Wow. I mean, that's it's crazy that she was able to count 23 helicopters.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts.
And she's saying because the light of the UFO, she was able to see all of them. And imagine counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, that is a lot. Yeah. So I don't know what to make of that. Either it was spotted somehow and they're going after it, or this is a military thing gone bad and they were escorting it just in case it crashes.
And hear me out on this. Lesbians are really good at counting.
Especially the number 20. Especially the number 23.
I'm sorry, the gay community who is listening to this. I apologize. That was a bad joke. I apologize.
Oh man. All right. If we continue?
Yeah. Again, please. I'm begging you to continue. I keep making horrible jokes.
Well, Cash continued driving the diamond UFO and helicopters still in front of her until she reached a road that would lead them to Dayton. For the following few minutes, she was able to see the UFO in her rear view mirror. The entire ordeal lasted about 20 minutes.
Woof.
Illness faced by the witness. Oh, here, you can take this one.
Sure. Cash drove the Landrums back to their home after dropping them off, then continued towards her own home. She waited for the sickness to go away while she sat in her chair at home, but her headache and nausea persisted, and huge knots appeared on her neck and scalp. They grew into blisters over time. Her skin was turning red and her eyes swelled up. Whoa, that's radiation poisoning.
Yes, right? Exactly. Yeah, so it sounds like.
Along with a lot of vomiting, she also had severe diarrhea. Again, radiation stuff. It wasn't as bad for the Landrums, but they were still in a lot of pain. Their skin appeared and felt burnt, yet their tummies were churning up.
So wait, was Cash the only one that went out of the car?
I think one of them went out. I think earlier it said that they both got out of the car.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Friends worried that Cash was close to death by the next day. She was on the verge of passing out. She was on the That's repeated. Skip. She was on the verge of passing out. It was impossible for her friends to identify her cardiologist because she was so sleepy, so they had to phone unidentified physicians on her behalf. A patient with a history of heart illness and a bizarre narrative of being hurt by a UFO would not be accepted by those they could approach during the holiday season.
Okay, I don't think that has anything to do with it, right?
Yeah,
she's injured.
Yeah, clearly something happened to her. I mean, to me, just learning about this for the first time, it sounds like really bad radiation.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. So the pals, they had no choice but to deliver Cash to Vicky Landrum's residence. In spite of Landrum's best efforts, Cash rebuffed all he offered her, growing weaker and weaker. to get the name of Cash's heart doctor, Landrum got a local pharmacist to search through his prescriptions for the information. Finally, after getting the information, Landrum called her doctor, who instructed Landrum to take her to Parkway Hospital Emergency Ward as soon as possible.
Yeah, they should have went there immediately. And
well, this is, the 80s. And even further than that, it's just if you get sick, you put your chin up and you bear it. So I get that. I get that response.
They don't have the infrastructure like we have now. It's every block we have a urgent care.
Mm-hmm. So the hospitalization of Betty Cash occurred on January 3rd, 1981. So this was after, this was what, like a week or?
Yeah, a few days. So the 29th is when it happened. So 30, 31. Yeah, like 5 days.
Yeah. She was unable to move and had lost large amounts of skin and hair radiation.
Yeah.
She was released from the hospital after 12 days, but her condition had not significantly improved. She later returned for another 15 days. The Landrum's condition improved marginally, but their skin sores and eye damage lingered. After that, for the next few years, Vicky's health deteriorated again and again, and her vision never returned to normal. Colby suffered from, that's the grandson, he suffered from a variety of ailments, including persistent sickness, blisters, and hair loss.
Damn, man. Must have been spewing radiation. Has to be.
Yeah. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
We have strong evidence that these patients have suffered damage secondary to ionizing radiation. It is also possible that there was an infrared or ultraviolet component as well. That's a quote from a radiologist who reviewed the victim's medical records from MUFON.
So then investigation into the Cash Landrum UFO incident. NASA in Houston was alerted to the incident after a witness reported it to ufologists there. A representative from NASA recommended they speak with John Schuessler, an aerospace engineer and NASA supervisor with a long-standing interest in extraterrestrial craft. Schuessler and his MUFON colleagues interviewed witnesses who claimed that they had been witnesses to the UFO and helicopters for an hour or more. The helicopter's origins were also investigated. The Fund for UFO Research commissioned one of ufology's most respected investigators, Alan Hendry, I was going to say Hynek, to determine the origin of the craft. No airport, whether civilian or military, would admit to knowing anything about the helicopters. Cash and Landrum embarked on a long, arduous endeavor to obtain responses from the government agencies. Their senators, John Tower and Lloyd Benson, eventually spoke with Department of Defense representatives. They instructed Cash and Landrum to report their complaints to the Judge Advocate Claims Officer at Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin. In August 1981, they went to Bergstrom to meet with Air Force lawyers. They were told that if they could find a lawyer who would take their case, they should file a claim for compensation with the U.S. government for the injuries that they faced.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, especially if it's classified.
Yeah.
Over the next few years, the case went through both military and federal courts, but neither the diamond-shaped object nor the helicopters could be proven to be official property. The U.S. District Court judge threw out the case on August 21st, 1986.
Yep.
That sounds right.
Yep.
Lieutenant Colonel... I mean, yeah, I guess they can't admit or they can't deny, right? Then that, and if they can't prove those are government assets, then they can't prove that they were injured by them. So he threw them out. Lieutenant Colonel George Serran was sent by the Department of the Army Inspector General, DAIG, to look into the case in 1982. This is the only official investigation we know that was important. Quote, this is from the report by Lieutenant Colonel George Serran. Miss Landrum and Miss Cash were credible. The policeman and his wife, who had reported seeing 12 Chinook helicopters in the Huffman area on the night of the incident, were also credible witnesses. There was no perception that anyone was trying to exaggerate the truth. All interviewees were extremely cooperative and eager to be helpful in any manner. Through the course of inquiry, the DAIG investigator tried to concentrate on any reason or anyone or any organization which might have been flying helicopters that particular evening in that general area. There was no evidence presented that would indicate the Army, National Guard, or Army Reserve helicopters were involved. I mean, it was probably a contractor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be my best guess. Or they're just, lying. Of course, as we've, known our government to do.
Yeah, just made a family sick and their medical costs went through the roof, and too bad.
Yeah. You can't prove it, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think last week's episode, one of the witnesses for Rendlesham, right? He had many problems with his health, and only decades later, with John McCain intervening and making his records unclassified, then that's when he got compensation for his sickness.
Yeah. Just admit UFOs are real, U.S. government. We're begging you. We can take it. We can handle it.
Hopefully this year. Hopefully. The hopium. Here's another quote from John Schuessler. Betty Cash has been hospitalized at least 25 times and had 2 operations for cancer after having shown no previous signs of it. She has had blood problems and trouble with her eyesight. Her hair has regrown, though in a different texture, but she is still very weak and has to spend a good deal of time in bed.
Wow.
The Cash Landrum UFO incident is yet another fascinating example of aerial phenomenon. So here's some pictures. We like this website. How and why. So they have pictures.
Oh, that was the grandson.
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
So here's what she drew, how it looked like. This is Betty drew a sketch of the craft. So as we can see, diamond shaped. It's got a glow, and then the fire coming out. Fire, it seems very.
It's a loose.
Yeah.
I mean, some sort of energy, I think, is a better description. But 1980 fire is what you say.
So here's Vicky Landrum. There's her
got a
arm.
Sick ass tattoo. I'm sorry. I gotta stop. I gotta stop making jokes that are offensive to the victims.
You have a joke for this one?
Yeah. Let me think.
No, poor thing. Look at that.
No, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Look at, she's got blisters on her hands.
Yeah, I can see
lots of.
I mean, this screams. I know we said it several times as we were talking about the article, but this is radiation poisoning for sure.
Yeah. There's also videos of them too being interviewed.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're not gonna go through this whole thing. It's like a mishmash of a lot, but
we had been driving.
Yeah, so this one looks like it's a decade after.
Yeah,
they look much older.
Out this country road, which it is very desolate area, and all of a sudden we seen this object. So I didn't know whether to stop, to back up, keep going, or what. So we just kept driving. We thought, well, maybe it's an air balloon or something, weather balloon or something. But the closer we got, we could tell that either it was going to be us or it, because it kept getting lower and getting hotter.
And this object come down almost to the treetops, almost ahead of us, and I screamed for Betty to stop. And I think if she hadn't stopped and we went on under it, we would have burned up. I got out in the car, Kobe and me, for about, I guess, a minute or two, and he was screaming like he was trying to get away from me and then pulling me back in the car, and I got back in the car, and Betty walked to the head of the car.
I thought it was the end of time, because I've always been taught the Bible says the world will be destroyed by fire, hell and brimstone. Well, how did I know that the hell and brimstone wasn't right there with it. And as hot as it was, if hell is any hotter, God forbid I want to live a good life. Because it was just almost unbearable.
I kept trying to calm Kobe, and I couldn't. I had to tell him something that would calm him. And I said, if you see this big man come out of it, it'd be Jesus.
Well, I just had a feeling to look up in the sky. Then I looked around a little bit more and I saw that object. It looked like a diamond. It lit up the whole sky.
It was a grayish, metallic looking color. But yet the flames that was throwing out was a reddish, yellowish looking glow. Just about the minute that I got up close enough to really make the shape of the object, whatever it is, the helicopters were there.
We was amazed at, what kind of helicopters there were. We were about scared to death. The double rotary kind of helicopters, I never saw one before.
The fear of ridicule kept Betty from telling about her UFO encounter. But weeks later, when patches of her hair started falling out, she told her doctor about the incident. Specialists were brought in, including a dermatologist and a radiologist, to run tests. They all turned up negative. John Schuessler and his group started their own investigation several months later. Despite the inconclusive medical reports, Schuessler believes that all three victims received some kind of radiation exposure caused by the UFO.
It's a package of symptoms that all three had, and all three being different kinds of people. That's the significant thing. From their age, the past history, medical history, etc., but they all had common symptoms. The common symptoms all manifested themselves right after the incident, starting within hours.
I do expect them to take care of my medical bills and what I have had to go through with and what I'm still going through with and what I may have to continue for years.
I don't believe in the little green men and all of that stuff from outer space. But if it's something that people don't know about, and it slipped in here and did that to us, and the government say they don't know about it, when they had the helicopters up there, we in a terrible shape. Because if it can happen to us, it could happen to a whole city.
This woman claims...
Not wrong.
I mean, she's right. And it's so funny how she's like, I don't believe in aliens, but what are our helicopters doing there?
Yeah, exactly. And then, the audacity for the government to come out and say, oh, we have no record of this. This wasn't the U.S. military. This wasn't the government. It's such horse shit. And, she's rightfully calling them out for BSing us.
Look at her here. This is only 4 years after that. 1985.
And I apologize for the lesbian comment earlier.
It's all in good fun. No harm done.
Sure hope that the audience sees it that way.
Okay.
Close encounter of the second kind. A second kind encounter is defined by its having physical evidence. Vicki Landrum, along with her grandson Kobe Lee, alleges that they, along with Betty Cash, were on their way home from a bingo game when they encountered something they had.
Oh, see, it's a bingo game. It was nice. It was innocent.
Okay, got it.
Never seen before.
Oh yeah.
The alleged event took place on December 28th, 1980. Vicki and Colby were driving in Betty's car on Highway 1485, 30 miles from the Houston airport and only 37 miles from NASA's American Space Headquarters.
Huh.
Kobe Lee saw a light, and he kept asking us what the light was. And he kept pulling my face around and asking me, Mama, what is it? And I said, honey, I don't know. And Betty said, I believe it's getting closer. And I says, well, it kind of looks like it, but we had no idea that we were going to get hurt.
I would say within an instant or so, all of us noticed it because it lit up the entire sky. There was no way you could have missed it.
it looked like the woods were being set on fire. And inside the car, it was so hot till my handprint is yet on the dashboard of Betty's car.
They got out on their side of the car. I stepped out on mine. I stood behind the car door for just a second or so, and I walked toward the front of the automobile. I stood there for just a short time, I don't know how long, trying to see what I could figure this object out to be.
It was diamond shaped. It didn't mean it was sharp up here and sharp down here. It was kind of round, and the fire come out the bottom of it.
But here was this huge object and flames shooting from it. And they weren't just small flames. They were gushing from it.
And Kobe was hanging on to me. And he was trying to get, he started pulling away from me, and I pushed him back in the car, and I got inside the car and put my arm around him and hugged him up real close to me.
We thought it was the end of time.
I says, Kobe, don't be afraid. I said, if you see a man, it'll be Jesus. And I said, he will come to carry us to a better place. He will not hurt you.
It was just burning. It was just too much heat. I could not tolerate it. So Vicky screamed and begged for me to get back in the car. Well, I did, but I had to use the end of my leather jacket in order to open my car door to get back in. That's just how hot it was.
And when the object lifted and slowly moved over to the right of us, her and Kobe saw some helicopters.
There were so many of them, it sounded like a tornado.
And we counted 23. I counted 22, really. But Kobe said, there's one more. And I said, yeah, baby, that makes 23.
And there were helicopters on both sides and also over the top of the object, or like they were trying to hem it in.
The only apparent proof the women have for what happened to them is the illness they claim they suffered as a result.
Did you say like there's some on top of them that they're trying to bring it in?
Yeah, it sounds like the helicopters were surrounding this object and they were trying to, yeah.
It sounds like it's an experiment gone wrong, especially if NASA's near there.
Does. Yeah.
Because I know in the 60s they were trying to make, and successfully they did make nuclear-powered rockets in the 60s, and then went black. So, this could be something that they just revived because technology got better.
Yeah, I mean, hell, Operation Paperclip, we brought over all those Nazis, to build our space program. It's not that far-fetched that we'd build something like this.
They also, I forgot what I want to say.
Oh,
this is
good.
on Thrive. This is a good documentary.
The trees. That was when we saw the helicopters come out.
The helicopters?
Colby County, 23 of them.
And I understand, in fact, you later identified them as CH-47 Chinook military helicopters.
Yes, it seemed that they were trying to escort the craft somewhere. It looked like they were about to collide. The roar sounded like a tornado. When we got home, I washed Kobe off and put him to bed. When the water touched his skin, he cried out like he had been burned, as if he had been in the sun too long.
And I was too sick to work the next day. My eyes swelled closed and welts appeared on my face and head. I thought I was going to die. Vicky came and took me to the emergency room of the hospital. They treated me like a burn patient. Over the next few days, I kept losing big patches of skin on my face, and about half my hair fell out. They kept me in the hospital over a month with no improvement.
It seems to me it takes remarkable inner strength to survive an ordeal like that. How are you doing now?
I have cancer. I was operated on in March 1983, and the doctors could not say if they got it all. Now, some days I'm okay, other days are terrible.
Has the government ever expressed a willingness to take responsibility for this thing?
No, and I'm mad as hell, and disappointed with the government of our United States.
I'd go to the grocery store, and people
would make fun of me. I tried to go to church, and the pastor asked me not to come.
Vicki Landrum has struggled to convince the government and the public that contact with extraterrestrials has left her scarred and riddled with disease.
Well, it's not just a light in the sky or somebody thinks they saw something. A real serious case, you know they've seen something. It changes people's lives. They're never the same afterwards if they've had a close encounter or if they've been injured.
Houston, 1980. They were driving on a deserted road. Betty.
So sad, man. I feel really bad for them.
You know, what do these people gain from making up a story like this? Nothing.
Exactly. If they just want a compensation for their medical bills too.
Yeah.
It's not like, they want to make millions of dollars.
Right. It's just, I feel for these people. And again, I want to apologize for the lesbian comment.
Well, I hope the government comes straight with all these because
yeah, definitely.
If they want to be transparent, I think these are the ones that really matter.
100%, yeah.
What is this letter? Looks like they tried to get someone from the base to write something.
Oh, good.
Later, she did get breast cancer and had mastectomies as well. All of this, she was uninsured. No one was going to insure her in the early 80s for any price, probably.
Vicki Landrum and Colby's injuries, though not as severe, left them with lifelong skin and eye troubles. Desperate, the women wrote to Senator Lloyd Benston and Congressman Charles Wilson to ask for medical help and answers.
I had received the letters back from Lloyd Benson and Charles Wilson telling us to go as soon as we were able to go, that Bergstrom Air Force Base knew all about it and they'd be glad to help us in any way that they possibly could.
They said there'd be doctors up there that could help us. And we went up there and they treated us very dirty.
Officials at Bergstrom Air Force Base told them they knew nothing of the incident and informed them their only recourse was to try and sue the United States government for damages. Strangely, however, the military repeatedly attempted to purchase Betty Cash's vehicle, but she refused. As word of the incident spread around Dayton, Betty and Vicki felt ostracized by their neighbors. A minister offered to come to Vicki Landrum's home and pray with her alone, but she refused. It was then that the women turned to the UFO community for help.
Weird that the government tried to buy their car, probably because it's the only thing that has evidence that something happened, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Fucking bastards! Instead of just paying, they're like, "No, we'll just buy your car," and completely cover it up.
Exactly. Yeah,
sickos, man.
Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum have been ridiculed and ignored since their alleged 1980 encounter with an aircraft. But the UFO community refuses to let the case die. John Schuessler is an aerospace engineer and deputy director of the Mutual UFO Network. MUFON, as it's called, is a worldwide organization of UFO believers who study and investigate sightings. The women contacted him several weeks after the incident. Schuessler was curious but skeptical until he met Betty Cash.
She took her wig off, and she had big patches of hair missing from her head. And that was so shocking. I said to her, look, something very serious happened to you. And if you're openly honest with me and give me the information I'm looking for, I'll stick with you to the very end. I said, I need to talk to the other people that were involved in this case. And so I called Vicki Landrum, and I talked to her and her grandson, Colby. We asked them, why did you just go home after this incident happened? And they said, well, you've got to understand what happened. They were, what you might say, healthy Texas stock people. When something happens, they tough it out. They don't just run for help. Mrs. Landrum said, we always tough it out. I never go to the doctor. I never go to the hospital. I don't take medicine. When I'm ill, I tough it out. And so that's kind of what happened in this case.
Convinced of their story, Schuessler agreed to look for answers.
Then we went out to the site where this happened. They had never been back. We took them out one at a time. They They each one took us right to the very place, even though they'd never been back from that night because they'd been too ill. And we walked through the scenario and we timed it and we understood what happened. And we looked at the roadway that was burned and the trees that were burned. And we saw the emotions in these people when they got back to the place. They just broke down, completely broke down, cried. And they were so frightened from it. They still didn't want to be there. And after that, we decided, well, we'll let them go home and then we'll start walking the roadways.
Schuessler began to canvass the area for witnesses to the incident. His investigation revealed that a Dayton police officer and his wife saw military helicopters in the sky on the night of December 29th, 1980.
We had other witnesses too, civilian witnesses that weren't as alert about what helicopters are, but they could describe them with two rotors on them that made them very unique. And there was no one else but the military flew twin rotor helicopters in 1980. We started asking for those kind of records from the military. We were just completely stonewalled, just like these people didn't exist and the information didn't exist. And so that started our quest for more information and a long, long drawn out investigation.
Through the Freedom of Information Act in 1982, Schuessler obtained what he feels is the smoking gun in the case, the official military report on the investigation into the women's claims, which called their story credible. With Schuessler's aid, the two women hired a lawyer.
To me, it seemed to be a truthful story. Yes, I've had people who try to, as the saying goes, strap a story on you. I don't believe they were doing that. And the evidence contradicted that too.
Nearly 6 years after the alleged incident, Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum believed they might finally get some relief. They filed suit with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Houston, and a preliminary hearing was set for August 1986.
Too bad.
Of course, the federal government denied they had any connection with anything like this. And we didn't have any way of proving that the federal government was involved. All we could prove is the women were injured. Who injured them? We couldn't prove it. And so the judge says, I'm dismissing the case.
Yeah, see, that's the plausible deniability that the government needs, and which is why they give it out to contractors to do it and independent contractors, right? And like Jake Barber was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
They stay far away from it.
Well, not far enough. I mean, anyone with a brain knows that this kind of stuff is going on.
Right.
It's just a shame that we, fuck, what are we going to do about it? You know what I mean?
And 23 helicopters, you can't hide that. I mean,
no.
I'm surprised there was only one policeman. I mean, the guy said to those, even the ones that didn't see helicopters would say it's two rotors. You know, for at least for ones that don't know what the Chinook was,
right,
or is. It was definitely a contractor, something military.
I don't even think it was contractors. I think this is just straight up the military was there and then the government lied about it. I don't think there's anything deeper than that.
Didn't they find anything on the streets? Here, let's see.
Dug up and replaced, completely replaced.
Ooh.
Colby came around that corner and were confronted with an unknown. There was an object that was brilliant, diamond-shaped, emitting a high intensity, they say a flame, light of some sort, a power source. According to Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum and John Schuessler, the craft, when it came down from the sky, irradiated an intense heat, causing the blacktop to bubble, melt, contaminating the surrounding area. This is a classic encounter, right? We're at ground zero where it happened. This is it right here.
John Schuessler visited the site 3 weeks after the incident and noticed changes made to the road.
We went back out a few weeks later and looked, and that section of road was dug up and replaced, completely replaced. We contacted all of the road agencies around, state, city, county, and all of them said, we haven't worked on the road. We found some witnesses that said they did see people working on the road, and the trucks that were hauling the stuff away were unmarked.
6 to 8 weeks later, the same crew came back in tore it up again and repaved it again, removing, in fact, digging down, removing 8 inches or 6 inches of surface in the process. And if you look closely in this section of between 150, 200 yards, you can see that there's concrete and asphalt, and the texture changes dramatically. And it's just in this one section. I mean, it's not like it's the whole roadway.
Storch notes that the changes made to the asphalt surface run parallel to a cluster of small trees lining the roadway.
There's young growth here that's just very, very young. And then the trees off in the distance here are probably 40, 50, maybe even older. But this lack of trees in this specific area, I think, indicates that they were removed. Why?
Investigators believe the U.S. military repaired the road to hide evidence of Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum's unexplained encounter.
I believe that there is evidence yet to be uncovered. And I truly, truly hope that by keeping this in the spotlight, by keeping the pressure on, that we'll be able to get those answers, to get that witness that will come forward and said, hey, I flew the helicopter. I was there. And I feel bad what happened to those 2 ladies.
I think it's very
not happening. I can't believe they did that. They went out, dug up the road, and repaved it just so there's no evidence left. And the trees even.
Yeah. I mean, this is government 101, baby.
God,
Just
it's so
unreal.
crazy to cover up on the subject.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, even if it was a secret test, why don't they just say that and then pay them? I mean, I don't know. It might open up Pandora's box, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, definitely. I'm right there with you. Like, just tell us.
Right. It was a mistake, and we will compensate you, and that's it. They don't need to tell us how this thing works. But using nukes is pretty dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember reading about how nuclear reactors could be used to generate the electricity needed, but not the actual propulsion, like how this one was done. So here's a rare interview with that Schuster guy.
Awesome.
Yeah, he talks about especially the burns, what he saw. But then he says that the burns were not just radiation. There's like some other elements of it. Doesn't mean it's alien, though.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, let's listen to him.
Something very real happened to them. They have all of the various symptoms of being exposed to some type of radiation. Now, the type of radiation is an unknown to us because the strange part is that the symptoms are not classic of ionizing or of microwave or of any other specific one, but more of the nature of a mixture of radiations. And that puzzles us because generally devices don't put out a mixture of radiations.
You're in McDonnell Douglas aircraft. What would do something like this?
We don't know. We've looked into all of the technology that we see flying today, working at the Space Center as we do. We find that it's very easy to tell you what's going on, so to say. The leading edge of technology is visible. The secret edge probably isn't. But nevertheless, we don't see the technology that could have done this. It appears that there was some high generation source, probably a microwave, but maybe with a little bit of X-ray thrown in. And this is an unknown device to us.
What did the Air Force say to all this?
We've had no help from anyone as far as defining what happened here. We have a case where we had a UFO of some type, an unidentified flying object, not necessarily a flying saucer. We had a number of helicopters, obviously military, and we can find no one that will take credit for any of that. No branch of the military service, no organization of the government. But we're convinced because of these people and the other witnesses that this really did happen.
Now, you interviewed the other witnesses. What did they say about these military aircraft?
We have some very good witnesses. One of the witnesses was an ex-Army man that had jumped from helicopters in an airborne unit, and he was very familiar with the type of helicopter seen here. He also saw them and said that's exactly what was here. He described the formation in which they flew, the way they acted. Obviously, they were here.
What are these helicopters used for?
Well, generally they're used for transportation, heavy loads, troop insertion, that sort of thing.
Could these helicopters have been carrying this device?
It's possible. It's very possible that one of them could have been carrying it. The type of helicopters used here were a CH-47. That's a twin rotor, large lift.
What if it was a crash retrieval? You know, that's somehow crashed somewhere and then the helicopters transported it? Or do you think the helicopters came in after the fact, after they saw it malfunctioning?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm inclined to believe that this is they saw it malfunctioning and they sent a bunch of helicopters after it.
Right. Yep. To go escort it just in case it crashes and just take it away. And then they obviously covered it up when they did that to the road, the trees.
Definitely.
Man, I guess how they would do this, they would just block off the road because it looked like it was just like a two-way road right here. Same thing. That's the road. I mean, you'd have to block it off, or unless there's like nobody in that area, and you can do it like late at night, 2 a.m, 3 a.m.
Right. I think it's a combination of both of those things.
Yeah.
I think it's in an area that's not well habited, I'll say.
Right.
But also, anyone who's driving down that road at 2, 3 in the morning, you just go, hey, there's some sort of chemical spill and you need to go back that way.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
go around this.
Yeah, no one, just no one asks questions after that.
Yeah. Especially if you have cones, have someone look official, just move them around. No one really asks. They might look.
Right. Exactly.
But they'll continue. Crazy case. I mean,
this is a really fun one. I had no idea that this had happened, and I feel really bad about that, especially about the lesbian comments earlier.
No need to remind. It's water under the bridge.
No, I feel for them. They went through some, terrible shit, honestly. I mean, they went through some really
What's the kid's called? The kid's name? He's Colby Landrum, right? He's a Landrum.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the whole family. I mean, no one believes them because that's par for the course for UFO stuff. They show up with actual evidence. No one cares. They go to the courts, and the courts, strike them down. I mean, shit. I feel bad. I feel bad. That's all I've got to say, I guess.
Yeah, me too. Here's Colby. Apparently, he got interviewed.
Is that him?
That's him. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother! You got the glow up.
Treetops of the pine trees right there, probably 150 foot or so. I mean, the object was a little higher, of course, but they were. We come to a stop. Didn't know what it was, and I remember Grandma talking about it was coming. that Jesus was coming back or whatever. She's real religious, so I mean, kind of scared me. I crawled in the floorboard. And my grandmother continued looking out the window, in which Lady Cash, she took it a little bit further and wanted to get out and investigate. What else did y'all want to know?
Well, I've got a question for you. Excuse me. About can you give us a description of of the light and whatever you can say about it, compared to any object, and maybe tell us about the way it moved if you can remember.
Okay. I don't know if y'all have them up there, but down here in the south, we have the water towers. The four-legged water towers that they feed the main cities and everything with. And the object back then, I was comparing it to the size of, the top of the water tank, which I don't really, probably now knowing that I work in refineries and everything, that it seemed to be about 100 foot across, probably 100 foot up and down. No, it's probably 50 foot across and 100 foot up and down. But
man, yeah, I mean that's a question. That was a question that has been somewhat confusing over time, is to get an idea of exactly whether the comparisons to water towers meant from the ground to the very top, or just the tank part up at the top. But I've always been wondering how wide would it be when it came down over the roadway. So if you can, go ahead and describe that, because this is an important thing.
One more time, please, sir.
There's been some confusion, I think, over the years with exactly how large the object itself would have been. So if you recall, and I think from what Kurt and I have talked about, and I think it may be correct, that you seem to be the person who, even at the young age, seemed to identify it as kind of diamond shaped, or have some kind of a shape that was elongated like that. So we thought some. Go ahead. Just keep continuing. We're here to hear what you have to say.
Well, it was like I say, to me, it was like a diamond shape with flames coming out the bottom, not just massive flames. Just the whole thing looked radiated, bright orange, and it actually looked like it was more glowing than on fire. So I mean, it was, as a kid, that seems to stick in your head. A lot of things you don't remember, but this is specifics and everything about the object I do remember. So
and in fact, that's exactly what we want to hear, the things that you remember, even at that young age. If you were in the car and what you saw, when you say it seemed to be more glowing, do you mean you could actually see the entire outline of the entire object, or just see? That's a very important point that I think everybody wants to understand.
Right. It was glowing, very bright orange, yellowish, and of course, being at that age, I was amazed with helicopters and planes, just like any other normal child. And I was counting the helicopters around it, which at the time I didn't know what they were, but later on, I found out they were the double rotor Chinook helicopters that were whatever they were doing, transporting. I know they wasn't carrying it. I don't know that, but
I think that's what they're trying to find out, like how big it is. Because if we find out it's kind of small, say like 30 feet, then potentially the helicopters could have been carrying it. Right, but not if it's 100 feet. I guess that's why they had 23. Maybe, who knows?
Personal, what's it called? Eyewitness testimony is so. It's not accurate ever.
No. Even I'm not accurate. Yeah.
Hopefully, people know that.
Right. We fill in gaps, if we're not looking into details, and then it comes through our perceptions and subjective experience as well. So we add that to it. So it's never truly objective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Still, I mean, it's still eyewitness testimony. Something did happen, right?
I'm not discounting, his experience. I'm just saying, eyewitness testimony. We all. I feel like I'm backpedaling a lot in this episode.
Don't worry about it. Free speech.
No, like he definitely saw something. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just
the details.
Eyewitness. When you see something, and you see something as incredible and weird as a UFO like this, your brain just goes haywire. That's all.
What an experience! But what an experience to have that, especially at his age. In the middle of the road.
Yeah, I want this. I want to see a UFO like this.
We got to do our CE5 event
again.
Private event.
Yeah. Hey, listeners, if you figured out who we are at this point, come hang out with us. Come do a CE5.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. It's invite like 5 listeners.
We won't even charge you like Greer does.
Right, you just have to share the episode.
Yeah, just come out, come see UFO with us, and that's the whole pitch.
All right, so what's the verdict here? What are we saying?
I think they witnessed something that cannot be explained. I think they saw something, and I think they witnessed something that is not from our reality.
Yes. So, but it could be a test, though, right? A military test.
Yeah.
What if it was a real alien thing, and then we put in our own propulsion in there?
See, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
You know, yeah. So it's like both in a way, and then it messed up because our propulsion obviously is retarded.
Yeah. Yeah.
For what is used.
They didn't have the right Nazis working on it.
Yeah, those
no,
ones
I
went to
think,
Russia.
You know, I think it's so easy to say this is
100%.
one of ours.
Yeah.
I think the reality is that the U.S. government, whatever was going on, that they tried to cover it up and they tried to exploit it and they tried to, they tried to
Cover
make
it up.
theirs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and threw that in there that it's ours.
Yeah, exactly. They can say, "Oh, hey, look, this is something that we were working on," which I don't think is really the case. I also I don't think the whole fire coming from the bottom thing. I think that was some sort of propulsion that we as humans cannot understand.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Barber, when he had this similar thing where he said his skin fell off, all of his hair fell off when he was transporting an object. So, and it wasn't even on unless he said it got turned on by accident.
Yeah.
So these things do radiate something. Not the usual nuke radiation that we know. It's a bit different than that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I completely agree.
Well, cool case, and I hope the transparency, right, and this task force can bring up all these older cases because obviously the government was involved, the military was involved.
Yeah.
And we can, all right, cool. And that's what we can move on to next is actually Luna.
Hell yeah.
Representative Luna.
Ex-stripper. Did we talk about that on the... I don't think we were recording when we had that conversation.
Yes, she is an ex-stripper, born and raised in Southern California.
California. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
What do you even do here?
So, but she's a representative in Florida. Apparently, she went to Florida a lot. She changed her name. Her last name is Meerhoff, and she changed it to Luna. So, anyway, let's play this first, and then we can talk about what everyone is talking about. After that.
Chairman Comer. When our founding fathers stood against tyranny, they did not merely oppose taxes. They defended the sacred idea of individual sovereignty. They declared that no government, agency, or title could infringe upon the freedoms of speech, religion, thought, and the pursuit of truth.
You tell them, Luna.
For too long, the American spirit has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy, by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era, where the light of truth begins to shine through. A few weeks ago, President Donald Trump made a historic announcement. With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files.
A lot of those do lead to one particular country.
We're not allowed to say it. I'm so tired of having this podcast get taken down on YouTube. Yeah, no, I hope she follows through on her promises, but
yes,
there's I can't even
well,
say it.
people are upset. People are upset. They're like, well, if he releases the documents, just release them. You know, I mean, why does it have to be a task force to go through everything and investigate? Well, she's saying because there's bad actors from within the government who are not going to release some documents, and that's why they created the task force. That's what she's saying.
Right. And
Right.
that totally, that makes complete sense. And then, you know, you look into her background and you look into every conspiracy and you go, oh, hey, there's one entity
Right.
that keeps screwing everything up for everybody. Right. And I'm not allowed to say it. You know what I mean?
I mean, many people have said it that, you know, especially RFK and JFK, there is an Israeli element to it.
Oh no, you said the word.
Was that element to it, and you know that's why they came after her, because they're looking at her background.
Yeah.
And she said that she was raised a Messianic Jew. However, her parents or her family did come out and say that, because she's GOP Congresswoman's family rebukes Jewish heritage claim, says grandfather was a Nazi soldier. So she basically changed her name, and she said that she was raised as a Messianic Jew. Now, probably to get elected, she probably said that, you know, which shows you even more, you know, who's behind. You know, that means you'll get support if you say that. We know that, though. You have
Hey,
to
shout out to anyone who's listening to this on YouTube. This episode will not be up for very long.
At 1:11 and 11 seconds. That was the timestamp.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So a lot of people are saying she's going to whitewash it, then she's not going to give us the complete truth because of that. So
yeah.
But but her family's saying it's a lie.
We'll see. And again, you know, like, I think that, you know, I wish her all the best. And I think if, you know, she's true to her word,
too. Yeah.
I want this to be a reality. I want the conspiracies to come, you know, forward.
Yeah, exactly. And the evidence, right? We want to see
Right.
evidence.
Yeah.
That's what she says here. You'd like this. She goes, it's not just whistleblowers. I want evidence. This is by Askapol. He does great work where he's on Capitol Hill and he gets right in their faces and asks them questions like while they're going from committee to committee or whatever they're doing. So he asked Luna here about the hearings in March. It's going to be JFK, but it looks like UAPs will be in April.
Nice. Okay.
So let's listen to this quick clip.
When it comes, like, do you know when you may want to have your next UAP hearing?
It's going to be probably after JFK or maybe after Martin Luther King, but we're definitely having two. We're going to have one specifically on UAPs, UFOs, but also, again, I'm not just trying to have another hearing and bring in people. I want evidence, and so that's what we're pushing for, and that's why we have the letters that's going out.
And so you're hoping that more whistleblowers might approach you all. Yeah.
Find evidence.
Yeah.
Declassified evidence.
Nice.
When it comes, like,
that's great. I love that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Get on her. Again, I wish her the best. I hope that she gets to complete, you know, this mission.
Yeah, so you know, she's being serious about it, and she's taking it seriously. She's unfortunately she's seeing all the comments and posts on Twitter.
Yeah,
but she's countering them.
Luna, when you're listening to this show, I apologize for the lesbian comments.
I mean, you can't. You know, she tried to hide her past. You know, in this day and age, you just can't. You know.
Yeah. No.
I mean, if she was a stripper, oh well. You know, and I mean, it's not a bad way to make.
Yeah,
a living,
you know,
as long as you're not my daughter.
You know, I wish I had been there to witness her stripper past. That's all I got to say about that.
I think she might have had an OnlyFans too, or something like. Where's that bikini thing coming from? It's like,
you know,
or was that like a joke she did for like MAGA?
You know, I'm stepping out of this one.
Okay, all right. Anyway, nonetheless, whatever her history is, it looks like she's taking this on. She's serious about it, despite everything everyone is saying. She wants to be transparent and she wants to see the evidence. And here's a letter they sent to Director Ratcliffe, who is the head of the CIA now. Ratcliffe has said interesting things about UFOs. He even said they're otherworldly.
Oh, nice. To that end, we request a briefing as soon as possible no later than Feb 18th, 2025, regarding what documents, if any, are in your possession regarding the existence of unidentified anomalous phenomena. This briefing should be specific and identify all categories. Thank you for zooming in. I was having trouble reading. Identify all categories of documents, classified or otherwise, in your custody and control. After the briefing, the committee and task force shall seek to review these documents and make recommendations on declassification to ensure all applicable orders and laws are being implemented and deliver transparency to the American people.
Yes. What else?
Here's hoping.
Yeah, see, so unidentified non-self and existence of extraterrestrial life and other such matters at the discretion of the chairman. So, and that's what she said also in that press meeting, is that she wants official government proof that extraterrestrials are real and that the government knows about it.
I want that. I want that too.
So, but you notice they don't talk about the technology. Fine, keep it.
Yeah, we're not going to get that. We're not going to get that information anytime.
They just don't want to open it up, right?
Right.
Because if they open it up, then we start asking about the technology. So, we wish her luck. All the support. I'm going to be on the hope side. I don't want to be blackpilling and say, oh, she's just going to cover it up and she's going to whitewash everything, because hopefully the documents come out after the task force as well. Like, oh, this is what we found. Here you go, kind of thing.
Yeah, we're huffing hopium over here.
Yeah, see, we are
hopium.
I always said hope is a strength and a weakness for humanity.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, it's a strength because it keeps us alive. It's a weakness because it can be exploited.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Yeah, for sure. All right, so what do you got here?
Brichette.
Oh, my man.
He's saying that Jake Barber is a plant just to steer us off.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Now, we know that Brichette doesn't like, here it is, he doesn't like CE5.
I get it. I mean, I wish that he would understand that C5 is important, but I get that he's against it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean he's a born again evangelical.
Yeah.
He doesn't hide that. So he's saying it's opening it up for demonic suggestion, which is true. Greer and Barber both should against that. I mean, you're not just inviting in good things; you could be inviting in bad things as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't mean the whole thing is demonic, and it doesn't mean he's a plant, though. Although Jake Barber has said himself that he could be renting us, and we have no idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, because he said he was sent to Red Team all the time, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know. However, he does seem sincere. His company Skywatcher is doing stuff in the public domain. If they get evidence, physical evidence, and video evidence, that means they did good.
That's the hope.
Yeah, hope they're not the bad guys.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is what this is what I really struggle with, is all of these UFO groups that come forward. I don't know if I can trust them, right?
Right. We have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with their backgrounds.
Yeah.
And here's Jake Barber. We were sent there on behalf of our employer to look for whistleblowers. Is that clip?
At the National Press Club, hosted by Stephen Greer. There were several whistleblowers that had decided to come forward in that environment and share their stories. So we were actually sent there on behalf of our employer to look for whistleblowers that we were trying to basically report to the FBI and get arrested, because at that time I was in this weird place between becoming a whistleblower or rounding up the whistleblowers and shutting them up, because there were good reasons and bad reasons to be a whistleblower. And so
you were at this press event red teaming, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
You are trying to maybe gather intel on people who might become a liability for the program.
Yeah.
And you hear Michael Herrera give his testimony.
And I wasn't prepared for that. So
I'm sorry, because you had already seen the Acon.
Yes.
And then he talked about what you had experienced
Yes.
firsthand. And then
he's getting up there and everyone's like, this guy's full of shit.
Well, he was
and he wasn't full of shit. Herrera's story is nuts.
Yeah.
And it's recent.
Oh, man.
So also Chris Bledsoe. Remember we talked about Tim Taylor and his involvement. This guy's everywhere. So this one was a couple of years back. He says we're going to have disclosure in 2025. Yeah, that's what Tim Taylor told him.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so it's this year. So I mean, it's happening. What's the task force? And she talks about UAP. It's all lining up.
Hell yeah.
Plans of 2025 since I met Hal Povenmire in 2008. He told me then that they were going to have disclosure in 2025. That was the plan. There's a whole lot that I haven't talked about, such as NASA. Why was I at NASA? Why did they get me down there? How did I get into astronaut crew quarters? I got to meet the general. I got a special pin that only certain people have. And they wanted to know from me what, in other words, let's just say, they're just now talking about the plasmoid. Those are the orbs that I interact with. They're the angelic beings, because they're not just, there's an intelligence there. It's created, some force created it. They were being harassed. They're astronauts, and everybody were being harassed by these orbs and stuff.
You were told that by Tim?
I knew about it way back then.
When he briefed you, when he showed up to your house, how did he introduce himself? Like, what agency did he say he was from?
Showed us all his credentials. National Reconnaissance Office. He had a necklace with badges, credentials, and they were individual.
Wow.
Air Force, CIA, NASA, DOD, Area 51, and more.
Wow, that Tim Taylor guy, man. Of course, he won't do interviews.
Of course.
So it's a great quote by Jack Valet recently about disclosure and what's happening, and I think it really fits, and we have to be very careful what's happening. Yes, it's good, but again, it's controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Any
disclosure will be managed. Any disclosure will be managed by the same groups that have safely managed the dossier for the last 75 years. And they can only spin it to their liking, claiming that the military must maintain control. They can also reposition in any shape and form, any context they want through the multiple cutouts they can create out of thin air to send us into blind alleys.
Yeah, and he's right. But what's happening with USAID, and they caught them doing this with COVID, so they funded here we go. But it's right there. It's in the open that they funded through the NIH gain of function research.
Yep.
And then they funded all of the media here and globally to cover it up and censor anyone else. That's all. And it was funded. It's all in the open with what's happening with USA. So it's the same thing. We can see the same thing happening with UFOs, where they'll just fund the narrative, that they need to be funded, and they'll take control of it.
It's so sad, man. It's so sad.
Yeah, and that's how powerful they are. So hopefully, with all this defunding of USA that's going on, and all this transparency, hopefully the machine is slowly being chipped away at. Where finally some kind of truth can come out, not their truth.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I sent you this one. I never heard of this one. It looks like it's a Vietnam era crash.
Yeah, this is wild.
Yeah, it's I guess it was a hijacked B-52 or something, but this platoon came up to it and found it in the middle of the jungle, intact. So what is he? He's retired U.S. Army Special Forces Captain William English. Is he English?
Well, this one was a fully intact B-52 aircraft that looked like it had just been grabbed out of the sky and gently put down on the ground. There was no crash. There was no sign of a crash. There was no crash trail or anything like that, which we thought was pretty odd to begin with. And we managed to gain entry through one of the emergency escape hatches, where we found the entire crew still strapped in their seats, mutilated like cattle. Tongues were missing. Closer examination showed that jaws were scraped clean. One of my guys took one of the bodies out of the seat and discovered that his rectum and genitals had been literally cored out like a biscuit cutter had been used. In the process of all of this, we had taken photographs of everything we found, and we got the hell out of there. In Saigon, we turned over all of our films, all the documents, maps, and everything else that we had collected. We were basically told, you will die if you disclose any of this information, so keep your traps shut.
And he didn't, thankfully.
Yeah. Oh,
so
no.
That's nuts, man. And maybe that's what they want to also keep away, is that it's not just cattle and it's not just abductions, but you could be mutilated as well. And we can't do anything. We can't do anything to help. I mean, that was a B-52 bomber.
Yeah, that story is completely wild.
And what is it with the rectum? I mean, is there a lot of genetic material there?
I was wondering the same thing.
Reminds me of that one scene from Black Sheep. It just cuts to the scene. He's like, rectum damn near killed him. And he was like, at the end of the everyone just cracks up. You don't have to know the whole joke, huh?
Right.
But yeah, I think it's weird. Lips and rectums.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's I mean, god damn. What they're so curious about our assholes.
I know. Is there genetic or more genetic material? I want to know, like, what is it material in the rectum? Let's see what AI says.
I hope I never know. I know I keep talking about I want to see aliens and stuff, but man, I don't want them to get anywhere near my anus.
Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like there's anything out there really. It just talks about cancer.
Yeah,
what do you call it? Yeah. All right, so maybe they're just sick. Ooh,
you know what? I think that'd be the funniest outcome if they're just huge perverts.
Oh my god, that'd be so. Yeah, exactly. It's like we're not telling them. We're not telling them that
they came across galaxies, and honestly, all they want to see our penis, they want to see our vaginas, and our assholes.
And, yeah.
I feel like that's the stupidest and like the most sane, thing.
Right. And that's why they want to cover it up.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
All right, moving on. We have.
You want to see our assholes? Give us your assholes.
Rack them.
All right, so what do you got here?
All right, so this is one of the psionics, James Hodgkins, in the program, has an interview with Post Disclosure World, and he tells him some crazy things about the messages he's getting from these craft.
I'm assuming that the message he's getting is, "Let me see your asshole."
No, definitely another realm. Yeah, there you go.
One of my areas that I, kind of pride myself on is NHI communication. And some of the messages that I've received about what these craft actually are is more extra dimensional, if you will. Actually, the message that was used is I was told that you can best understand us as coming from what you would call the afterlife, which obviously that puts a pretty wild, spiritual component to this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a portal. It's a portal to our dimension.
It's a portal into your asshole. I'm sorry.
Oh
right,
man,
I'll stop making jokes. I apologize.
All the Erectum ones get jokes. Remember Independence Day? I'm sure they made fun of that too.
Yeah.
Like, did you get probed? He's like, actually, I did get probed. Randy's gone nuts. I think we played his. Did we play his video on one of our shows? His newest one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's completely lost it. Whew. All right, so yeah, this guy sings interdimensional or the afterlife, which is the spiritual plane, which comes up a lot, doesn't it?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it totally does.
Of it might have something to do with the afterlife. That is about as mind-bending as you could possibly ever get. I mean, to me, that's more mind-bending than I can't think of anything more mind-bending than that. If that's true, how is the world going to digest that?
Digest.
I have no idea.
All right, so that's what this guy's saying.
I'm sorry that I feel bad. That was a good clip, and I can't stop thinking about it.
That's fine. Many of us can't stop thinking about it. All right, this is getting into some really dangerous territory.
I apologize to our audience. Oh man, I'm so sorry. We want to go up your asshole.
Wait, another egg. And I want to put an egg.
We traveled across dimensions just to go up your asshole. It's so stupid.
Dude.
I'm sorry. I apologize for the lesbian jokes earlier.
Water under the bridge.
Okay, go. I'm gonna mute myself. I apologize.
All right, so this is a witness that came to Arrow. This was in 2023. So he was employed with EG&G, which apparently now shows that they're out of business. But they were the original contractor that actually controlled Area 51. So he says that Area 51 in 1997 to 2014. So this person held a conversation with a senior EG&G engineer during his employment at the U.S. company. Shortly after Pearson 26655 arrived in 1997, where the senior engineer spoke of an object brought to Area 51 by the CIA in the 1980s that was found resting on the ground in a remote U.S. desert location. The senior engineer, whose group was tasked with trying to reverse engineer the object, retired shortly after Person 26655 had the conversation with him. The object was described as egg-shaped, about the size of a sport utility vehicle, and silverish gray in color. Additionally, the object was smooth and seamless, had no visible control surfaces, no visible means of propulsion, and no writing or symbols of any kind.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The senior engineer stated that the object could not be disassembled or cut open with any of the tools available at Area 51, and X-rays could not penetrate the object. The senior engineer said that for several years, his engineering group attempted to activate the object and determine a power source without any success. After exhausting all attempts and possibilities, the engineers finally concluded that the object was a probe craft sent here from another planet in the universe and was far more advanced than our current or most advanced. So, E.T.
Now,
what? I know you're gonna go with this. Where did rectum or egg? What came first?
So, did this craft did it go up anyone's asshole?
No, it was found in the desert. unless it's CIA tried to sit on it. I'm not sure.
Oh shit! The CIA sitting on stuff.
They were trying to hatch it. Oh.
Well, I mean, this again, cool case.
Yeah, very cool case. He went to Aero verified where he worked. That he worked at Area 51, and he told him that story. So, 1980s, also around the Cash Landrum era.
Yeah.
You're like trying to not laugh. You're like, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I don't even know why this is so funny. I just.
Well, it's usually when you try to hold a laugh, it gets worse, right? At least I have that problem. I just have to let it out. Just let it out.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
Well, speaking of drones,
you know what's so stupid is no one else is gonna think that's funny, except for me. You know what I mean?
What? No, I was laughing. No, I thought it was funny.
All right. So what do we got here?
Well, we have there's drones, but this time in Germany.
Nice.
Yeah. So they're at it again. I guess
And
FAA.
As we know, the Germans love to make jokes.
Yes.
They're super, jokey all the time.
Man, that's so true. When I went there for the World Cup, we went to one of the games that was housed in a park thing. So a huge screen, and it was the German team playing.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you're right. They're just so disciplined. Like they're quiet. They're watching it quietly until something happens, But other than that, you don't hear a word coming out of them. Not a word. I was like, wow, what a crowd. Just disciplined. So here, this is from the report of the drones over Germany. It was a military site. The sighted multi-wingers floated on the spot for minutes with the position lights switched on, the sheet quotes from the situation report. But attempts had been made in vain to dissuade the drones from their course or to force them to land by means of jammers and other equipment. Due to the ineffectiveness of the defensive measures, it can be assumed that these are not commercially available but specialized drones. In none of the 6 cases would the drone operator could be located.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, these are drones that are just going over military bases, doing what they want, and no defensive measures are working to get them down.
Yeah, weird about that, huh?
Yeah, and especially that it's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see a cigar-shaped craft?
Yeah, definitely.
Will that get your mind off the?
Yeah,
I don't think so. Because let's see what it looks like.
Looks like a dick.
You see it? Where'd you miss it? Here it is.
No,
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, I don't know if that's anything.
Could be a reflection in the window. Look at that.
Could be a lot of things. Oh shit!
But you can see.
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
It's a cylinder.
Yeah.
Could be a balloon. Or it could be a SpaceX thingy.
I guess. I feel like this one is really hard to justify. I don't know what the hell you would call.
Well,
that.
it's moving with the plane, so it's not like it's. So if it's a balloon, it could be sitting idle, right? But then it'll be coming from front to back. But now it's coming from back to front.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So I don't know if that's wind though.
Man, that is bizarre.
Yeah.
No, I love footage like this. There's what possible explanation could this be?
I don't know. Maybe that's a device they use to puncture out rectums.
God, I had moved past it. I moved past it.
Sorry. I noticed. I had to bring you back.
Yeah. So I saw this on Reddit, and you sent this to me. I mean, this is a honest to God UFO.
Yeah.
There's no explanation for this.
Really weird. It looks like one of the ones
so
that the ones Adamski took a photo of, right? With the three, there's like balls here.
I mean, this isn't one of those things where you can say, "Oh, it's a bird that's flying into camera view."
Right.
I mean, this is just so. It's so weird. It's so UFO.
Exactly. It's so UFO. Look, just that shape is the typical one with the thing on top right here.
You can't. There's no rational explanation for this. You can't say, "Oh, it's a bird. It's a bug." Like this thing is just
AI. But you can put them through tools now to find out if it's AI.
So
weird.
Cool.
Yeah, that is a cool one. Argentina, that's where a lot of the Nazis went.
Yeah.
Right.
Works.
Here's another one from Think Tank. It's
yeah, this one's pretty wild too.
So this was 2023, it looks like, and it's a volcano. Do we know what volcano? Oh crap! What happened? It's still on there. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
no, just my screen. Here, let's watch this. So these are cylindrical objects. These are not like plumes coming out, because they're straight and they're all going the same way. I mean, a volcano doesn't shoot lasers or bullets.
I mean, again, this is just more. How do you explain this? 6, 7, 8, honestly, 9, a dear listener who's listening to this who thinks that UFOs aren't real, how do you explain this?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And they're all the same length. Look at that. They'll say, "Oh, it's probably a camera artifact." No, they're clearly coming from behind the smoke.
Yeah.
They're all going the same trajectory.
It's so it's so bizarre.
Yeah, it's a great place to hide, I guess.
Yeah.
Keep humans away.
Mm-hmm.
Live in a volcano. That is a bizarre one.
Great footage from whoever filmed this.
Live stream webcam detected 19 unidentified cigar-shaped craft departing from Mount Popocatépetl, Mexico.
Oh, hell yeah.
Catepetl. I don't know, man. I can't say that word. Can ask pilot. Read aloud.
You're going for it.
Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Popocatépetl.
Sure. You got it.
Thank you, AI. Thank you.
Well, I mean, South America is rife with UFO stuff, and thank God we've got technology here to witness it.
Mexico would be a cool place to live, actually. It's got similar weather to California, unless you go to the Gulf, then it gets really humid.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper. They don't shoot down UFOs. You have a good chance of seeing one.
Sure.
You wanted to make a joke, didn't you? I felt it.
I let it go.
Well, good news. Mr. Dolan has come up with his new book.
Oh, hell yeah. Buy the book, people.
Yep, The History of USOs. I'm going to start reading it tonight. The History of USOs, Unidentified Submerged Objects, Volume 1, from the beginning to 1969.
USOs are super interesting to me, and I get it.
Yeah, me too. Again, we could go to that location, where,
Yeah.
which overlooks it. We could do it. We could and we should.
I think we should. I think the listeners would love to hear us get abducted by aliens.
Or nothing's gonna happen. But I do have a 360 camera, and I'll take it and I'll record the entire thing.
Sweet.
You know,
All right.
so we should plan we can go like before sundown, so it's not really hard to walk there, and then just walking back would be an issue.
I think we should do the witching hour. I think we should do like
2 in the morning.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to walk out there, would need our flashlights and
Yeah.
I mean, all right.
No, I'm totally on board. Like I want to if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this right. You know what I mean?
Oh God, bring some holy water with you.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going. I'm really excited about this book.
All right, good.
And yeah, that's why, because USOs in that area that we overlook is basically Catalina Island, and people say there's a base there. You know, it'd be a great place for us to try and see if that's the case.
Yeah, I think that's something we should do for the show. Absolutely.
All right, cool. Have you heard about this? The television broadcast in 1977.
Is this the guy that killed himself on screen?
No, they hijacked the signal of a show in the UK.
Okay.
And apparently it was a message from the Ashtar Galactic Command.
Oh boy.
And I looked into this though, and they said if it's a hoax, it has to be someone that's really knows what they're doing, or it's real, basically. And many engineers out here in the US, when it happened, said that this has to be real because it's in a remote area in the UK. You have to have known about the vulnerability, and then you'd have to have the technical know-how to actually do it, which they said limited to very small amount of people. I mean, I listened to it, it just seems like a movie. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. The voice and whatever.
These include stopping the execution of
So this is a recording of that show. The normal show was going on.
Sure, I gotcha.
all captured prisoners of war. Negotiation. In Australia, Mr. Harry Canada's cricketers are still feeling about this exciting decision. We're sticking to them and playing a test match. This is the voice of the law, representative of the strong collective. For many years, you have seen us as lights and sparkles. As we have done to your brothers and sisters on this planet Earth. With breakfast comes the destiny of your race and your world so that you may.
Yeah, I don't buy this for a second.
I know, right? It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, so.
Especially, see, as the planet passes into the new age of Aquarius, that's all the new age stuff. The new age can be a time of great peace and evolution for your race. It's all the new agey stuff.
Yeah.
All your weapons of evil must be removed.
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah. So then they did say, see, there's a Rorich transmitter on the Isle of Wight. Interesting. That's where David Icke lives. So rather than being fed directly by a landline, okay, so they had a wireless transmitter. So, but the IBA stated that to carry out such a hoax would take a considerable amount of technical know-how, and a spokesman for Southern Television confirmed a hoaxer jammed our transmitter in the wilds of North Hampshire by taking another transmitter very close to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then where is it? Within 2 days of the incident. Oh, how can the IBAs in the U.S. The letter to the editor? How can the IBA or anyone else be sure that the broadcast was a hoax? The editorial board of one American regional newspaper, the Eugene, Oregon Register Guard, commented, "Nobody seemed to consider that Asteron may have been for real. By as early as 1985, the story had entered urban folklore." But it sounds so stupid. It just does.
Well, okay, so there's an actual TV broadcast that got taken over.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? It's the guy.
Oh,
shit! I'm gonna have to look it up. You know what? Never mind. I'm just saying, like, TV broadcasts being taken over, that's not a new thing.
No, it's definitely not a new thing.
This one, totally fake. I don't buy it for a second.
So was this like an NDE?
Yeah, this is a weird one. You want to scroll up? So, this woman claims she died, traveled through a velvety void, lived as a mantis creature on another planet, and witnessed visions of Earth's future. Excuse me. Oh.
Of course, it has mantids in there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, she talks about her near-death experience in 2015. At the time, she was a teacher and a mother to young children dealing with serious health issues. She was in the hospital undergoing a test and a tilt table, which is designed to make patients pass out. After 18 minutes, her vital signs dropped dramatically and she went into seizures, essentially dying in front of her husband. At that moment, she had an out-of-body experience. She ejected from her body and found herself looking down at her own face, but she didn't feel any fear or concern. Instead, she felt completely free from pain, as if she had returned to her true self. She was overwhelmed with love and peace. All right.
This is pretty common. Actually, man, I might be misremembering this, but when you go on the emergency surgery table, they will put stuff on top of the lights that look down on you. You know, just so you can, if you have that out of body experience, you can, look down at yourself. I don't know if that's true or not. I remember reading that somewhere.
I mean, it happens a lot, right? In these NDEs, especially on in surgery. As this was happening, she became aware of new space near her. This is the velvety void. Where's the thing about the mantid?
It's way down there. This is a long article, unfortunately.
Angela could see her mom. Okay. When they finally entered the space, it felt to Angela like riding a subway in the dark tunnels between stations. Everything is dim and quiet, but as the train reaches the station, the light suddenly surrounds you. That's what it felt like, moving from the darkness into something bright and full of life. Angela describes moving from the black velvety void into a new space, a white, soft, cloud-like place with no walls. It felt gentle and comforting, almost like cotton. Unlike some near-death experiences, she didn't hear music, but she did see a huge group of people waiting for her. They were overjoyed to see her. Yeah, that happens a lot in NDEs. Yeah. As she looked at the crowd, she realized she recognized everyone. Oh, okay. She was
she saw her grandparents, and it's a whole thing.
She could feel the heat of the sun, hear the sounds of the creaking barn gates, the goats, chickens. Interesting. During the near-death experience, she was able to connect with people who had lost. Okay. Mantid. Where's the mantid?
I know, right?
All this was happening. She felt like she was truly home. She realized that Earth was just a temporary place, almost like a vacation. Hear that a lot as well. She also had instant access to knowledge. Whenever she had a question, the answer immediately came to her as if she were standing in a river of infinite wisdom. She compares it to standing in a flowing stream as a child. The knowledge included the past, present, and future. All right. She's like in a different. Here we go. And Angela describes how she moved through different experiences after entering the black velvety void. She was able to rush off to different places, reliving memories from both human and non-human lives. She could also see possible futures. When she traveled, it felt like moving at warp speed, like in Star Trek or Star Wars, with darkness and stars flying past her at high speed. At one point, she found herself observing another version of herself, a part of her soul, living in a different body on another planet. She entered the space over the left shoulder of this being who had blue skin. The entity acknowledged her presence by turning and looking at her, though she couldn't see any surroundings like a room or a spaceship behind it.
Oh, wow.
She saw herself as an insect-like creature similar to a mantis. This version of her had a rusty red exoskeleton, round dark eyes that reflected light, a segmented body with a thorax, an abdomen, and long thin legs. The creature also had small arms and antennae on its nose, which was something she had never seen before. Okay. That's definitely a weird NDE.
Yeah. No, this lady clearly had a very strange experience.
Oh my god. All right, so she didn't see God or angels, but looks like she saw everyone.
Yeah. she saw lesbians and never mind.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I gotta commit to the bit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I get it. You don't have to apologize. This is the Hutchison effect.
Oh,
ever seen these? This is
What's this?
Is a bowling ball
That's
and
moving on its own.
he's gonna make it float. Yeah, it's called the Hutchinson effect. They raided his laboratories in Canada. I remember this, like in the 90s. Look at that.
Wow.
A lot of people say it was trick photography, like he's
Sure.
going backwards or something.
Yeah, of course.
But even this just goes boop. So he uses radio waves to basically make these objects zero weight and negates their weight or something.
Yeah, it makes sense that they're gonna zero him out. Wow.
You know, when you see it float. Oh yeah, wait, before that happens, that thing just this thing.
What?
Yeah.
What? This is so cool.
Oh. There it is.
Oh. What?
Isn't that nuts?
Oh my god. Yeah, no, this is nuts. What?
It never goes all the way up though, I guess.
Well. What? Oh my god, that's so cool.
Right? I mean, this thing is heavy.
Yeah, no, it's a bowling ball. Yeah. Wow. Man.
Let's see what the comments say. So, in this video is 1988 Hutchison effect experiment, where an 80-pound ball defies gravity, floating in midair for nearly 10 minutes. John Hutchison achieved this by ingeniously overlapping radio waves with high voltage spark discharges, creating a phenomenon that challenges our understanding of physics. It was discussed here on rxresearch.com. And here's the video.
Wow. Well, I hope this is real.
See, I remember when the FBI raided his home and seized all of his equipment.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But see, we have a good future. We don't need to all pay for energy. We just have to figure out real physics.
Yeah, definitely.
I would definitely take this. Did you see this?
No, I will not go underwater.
Come on, if you're protected in a pod.
No. Inside Ultralux UFO submarine that can dive to 650 feet and host 12-hour undersea parties. And you can even get married in it.
Yes.
No.
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 It looks cool.
I kind of have like an interest in being underwater.
Like they have gambling and drinking and PS5.
Yeah, no. Like this is too much for me.
There it is. So it's got.
I don't
it's
even think
tons,
that's not even a real picture.
Well, this one is.
I mean, it's like I get it, like it's cool, but I don't. I'm scared of water.
They're happy. They look happy.
Yeah, lesbians.
Oh man, it can transform into anything from a casino to a cocktail bar during its 12-hour cruises.
12 people, really?
Well, 12 hours. Is it 12 people too? Did I miss that?
8 people?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, 8 guests.
Yeah, This is a death trap waiting to happen. It's the same, that sub that crushed itself.
Oh yeah. That was tragic, man.
That's what this is.
Well, there it is.
I mean, cool, but like, I have no interest in being a part.
I mean, why would you want to be gambling? Going, I mean, yeah, that's what I want to do before I die. Because what if something happens?
This is what I'm saying.
Gambling.
This is what I'm saying. This is why I'm critically opposed to this.
All right, moving on. NASA says, yes, an asteroid buzzing by in 2032 could hit Earth.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a misleading article. So it was something like 2.3% chance of an asteroid hitting Earth, and it got bumped up to 3.4%. Like it's just more things to be scared of.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, 2.3%. And that's like 20, 30 something.
Yeah.
Ah.
I don't know. We're all gonna die. Let's face that.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. So
be nice to each other. Be loving.
Yeah, exactly.
Be kind.
Yeah, there's no reason to be upset with one another.
Exactly. The best thing to do is to take money from USAID and spend it on shrimp treadmills.
Now this is so I sent you this article, and actually it's a little bit old. I think the shrimp treadmills were from like 2011, 2012 or something.
2011.
Yeah. But this is just more proof that our government puts our money to waste.
So I don't get what it's for.
I don't even think the article gets what it's for.
Impaired metabolism and performance in crustaceans exposed to bacteria.
Yeah, I mean it's pointless. I mean, our government spends so much money on just absolute bullshit. That's really what this article is
and I'm
about.
sure that this came up because of what USAID is now. Yeah. We know how much money and waste and fraud has been spent there. So I'm sure this is one of the things that came up.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Do science on everything. It's definitely a way to just extract money from the government.
Definitely. I mean, all these people are there's so many people that are just getting filthy rich off of shit like this.
Speaking of USAID and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, great. Let's get into it.
We're gonna get canceled.
Oh,
everyone needs to hear this. We're still on Rumble. We're still on other platforms. Our podcast doesn't get censored, so you guys can go listen over there.
I love getting canceled.
This might do it, but in this clip, yeah, you need to listen to it.
Great.
You gave me. What was that thing you handed me?
Okay, everybody got to look this up. I love the fact that he did this, and sometimes we have heroes we don't talk about. His name is J. Bart Klassen, Klassen, MD. He's an MD. He's a PhD who works at NIAID. He worked across the hall from Dr. Anthony Fauci back in the 1980s. He's still working in NIH. Here's the thing. He wrote a peer-reviewed paper, which means, just for people to know, this is the highest level of academic scrutiny, meaning your peers put their reputations on the line. They have to look at it and say, we can't argue with this. We'll put our names behind it and publish it. Right now, you can find it online. Like, it's published in Cyber Vision. This is a publication of biomedicine. In it, he writes, from my observation, the Mossad, using U.S. assets, has created what we now know as COVID-19 as a bioweapon of genocide for the world population. And he names the Mossad agents.
Oh, no.
Who he witnessed doing it. He gives names. He talks about Bill Gates. He lists the whole thing out. This is peer reviewed.
Insane.
So when they say trust the science,
the science.
This is something everybody should be talking about. I spoke to him. I'm calling up a white guy, a PhD.
Yeah. Well, hey, YouTube visitors who are listening to this show, thank you for listening. We really appreciate you. And this episode is long gone.
It's been fun.
It's been real fun.
Well, and here's the paper. The guy wasn't lying.
Oh no! Don't share the paper.
There's the abstract, literally saying, "Oh my god!" Really hectic, really and dark. This is dark. This is really dark. We can move on, but I think it's really important to uncover.
Oh, definitely.
Anomalies.
We're uncovering anomalies. Also, Israel, great. We love them. The government also just great. We love.
Well,
really
swell.
We love. Huh?
They're really swell people.
Yeah, they're swell. They're swell. Good man. The government's great. JFK definitely was not assassinated by the CIA. Just throwing that out there randomly.
Not involved 9/11 either.
No, and I just the FBI did not murder Martin Luther King Jr.
No.
Definitely did not. And shout out to the FBI. You guys are doing a great job.
Yes, thanks for listening. You guys have been great fans so far.
Yeah.
Shout out to the FBI.
Definitely. Yep. FBI doing a great job, man. Keep it up, or don't kill me, please.
Yeah. Is that a black van? Oh God.
Oh God. I think that's a black van.
Well, just to follow that up, President Trump signed an executive order.
He's been signing a lot of executive orders.
I know, just like the emperor he is.
Yeah.
But there's no other way to get things done, unfortunately, in this bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's mostly because all those agencies are under the executive branch, so that's why.
So what has he got for us?
So he signs an executive order cutting all federal funding to schools that mandate the COVID vaccine.
Oh shit. We're on the verge of getting canceled again.
We're seesawing. Oh, they definitely won't like this. RFK Jr. has been confirmed. RFK Jr. has been confirmed.
Oh no, here we go.
So that's why they can't anymore, because the head of HHS agrees with us.
Well, here's hoping.
Or at least to good science. You know. I was gonna play Del Bigtree's Maha takedown of the media, but maybe not. I think we've done it. Right?
I'm tempted. We're already
in it.
Canceled, so let's do this.
All right, let's do this. So because Del Bigtree, the host of the High Wire show, also he's executive director of Maha, or the Maha Alliance. Very good friends with the RFK. So this is at the RFK acceptance, whatever, not speech, but party. So he talks to the press. This is Del Bigtree talking to the press.
Oh, this can't go badly.
No.
Their status. And right there, in front of the world, Senator Cassidy said, you know what? Okay, I don't think a mother should be forced to take it if she's hepatitis B negative. We just watched the first transformation of a medical doctor in an important conversation, changing his mind based on the available science. Was he unaware of it prior to that conversation? I don't know. Or had he forgotten about that? I don't know. But what we did see is a mind being changed. And so when people say, is Robert Kennedy Jr. going to take a vaccine away? I would say Robert Kennedy Jr. is going to begin a conversation of transparency, of talking about the actual science that is written in every one of these lists, pages and pages of injuries that are right here, written by the manufacturer by law because they are happening to real children and real people. And no one in front of me right now has ever written about this story. Why? How can you say you're doing your job? Who are you working for? We are supposed to be the fourth branch of government, the fourth estate. We are supposed to challenge these things and say, for how many years will we let these injuries happen before someone decides to make a better product or do a study and figure out Is there a test we can do to see if you're vulnerable to these injuries? We've never studied who these injuries are happening to. Sure, go ask the experts. Just like Tony Fauci, who told you social distancing was science and questioning him was questioning science itself. Just like the vaccine stops transmission, which every single one of you wrote. I don't know how many of you have apologized for getting wrong.
Fucking get them.
But on the high wire one day before anyone, the show that I do online, before anyone received a COVID vaccine, I read the emergency use authorization by the FDA. And it said very clearly, this study could not prove whether or not this vaccine can stop transmission. So what were you writing about? Where was your science, and exactly how do you call the people that got it right the spreaders of misinformation? You have been the spreaders of misinformation. You have gotten it wrong. And America is still waiting for an apology.
Hell yeah.
Let me get back to hepatitis B.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah, he goes off and off, but they deserve it, you know, and he's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, jeez, I'm fired up now.
But I'm happy that RFK is in, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
finally, and people are leaving the CDC. Many people are retiring, obviously, because they're idiots and they covered this up and they're corrupt.
Well, I mean, this. I think we talked about it on the last episode, but the pendulum swings back and forth.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's back on this side again, and I totally am here for it. People like this need to come forward and say, "Hey, you messed up," you know.
Yeah. And at the end, he says he's willing to forgive them if they just either start really reporting this stuff or quit.
Yeah.
If you feel bad about, lying all the time, then quit and start your own podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully RFK does a good job. I'm sure he will. There's a huge movement behind him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Trump knows he won because Maha was behind him. He knows it. It was millions of people, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And just to hit it home.
Make America hairy again, I think is what Maha stands for.
We have another senator, or is this a senator? Or is it or a congressman? Anyway.
Representative.
He freezes in the middle of his speech. Like McConnell does.
Oh, good.
Don't worry, no one on the Republican side in the House and Senate who control both the House and Senate is going to speak up.
Oh no.
Mind control. Wrecked him.
Challenge us.
Oh, Jesus Christ. These are the people that represent us, folks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he was talking about a USAID thing. He wasn't happy about it.
And just, wow, this is a long brain fart.
Protect Americans' privacy and their social security.
It's sad to watch.
Why do we let these old people,
40%?
No offense to old people out there, but why do we let them represent us?
Man, that's why we need term limits. That's it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely.
Four is enough. What is that? 16 years? Do you need more than 16 years?
Just, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Savings.
Yeah. So this guy's not the first. We've had McConnell.
Yeah, God.
Right. Yeah. And then what's her name? Feinstein. She was basically dead when they were like wheeling her into the Senate.
It's just,
it's embarrassing. The whole world sees that.
I can't believe all these people run the country.
Yeah, exactly. Run the country. It's just like Biden when Biden was president. Did he run the country? No, right? It's the same thing. So our Congress is like that. It's really scary. And it makes sense. It makes sense when you see how things have been run.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and I've told you this before. I really love what Trump's doing and Musk and these guys. If it wasn't for his insane Israel stance, I'll give the guy 10 out of 10. Other than that, because he talks common sense with everything except when it comes to Israel. Because he's completely blind and just takes their radical side all the time. No common sense at all. No fairness. It's insane to watch.
Yeah, it's almost like this episode's getting pulled down, right? It's almost like another country controls our government.
Yeah, almost.
We're not even allowed to say the name of the country, even though everyone who's listening knows the name of the country that controls our country.
Right. Yes. I mean, it's kind of obvious now. You see it all over X.
It should be obvious.
People put polls up there, like, who's a danger to the United States, and they put like Russia, China, Iran, and they put other in comments, and it's always other in comments.
Yeah, weird how that works, huh?
Yeah, so they don't care that everyone knows. They don't care. Well, General Flynn, and this actually surprised me. I saw a post from General Flynn saying that all congressmen and senators that have an AIPAC person need to let us know. Now, he's a huge supporter of Israel, but obviously you can't have foreign interference. You can't have foreign interference. No, we can't be like that. I'm going to say it.
Say it.
Say it like you mean it. But yes.
Yeah, no, it's really sad. I mean, who was it a representative or a senator? He was going on and saying that, all of these Congress people, they have another flag, in their.
Oh yeah, Messy.
Yeah,
he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said everyone's got an AIPAC guy.
Yeah.
So that's the government we have. So hopefully Representative Luna will go back to that, can reveal all of those secrets and declassify evidence of JFK, RFK, MLK, UFOs, USOs, Epstein client list, and 9/11.
And since this episode's getting taken down, I hope Luna comes and strips for me.
Oh my! Old prices or new prices?
Either. I can afford.
All right, you're open to it. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have for this week.
I really hope that her. I hope I'm just saying. I hope that she follows through with what she's saying. I doubt it.
Me too. Yeah.
But I hope she follows through. And
yeah, we're not naive. We'll say that we are hopeful because we are positive people. However, okay, as much as we can.
Oh man, I think this podcast has shown that. Well, me in particular, not positive people.
Well, I remember still seeing when she came out and then knowing her history and all that. It was kind of a black pill. I'm like, why are they putting out someone? Why? We were promised declassification, but I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. She said that there are people stonewalling them, so they need a powerful task force to go and get these documents. All right, let's give her a chance, I guess. But it doesn't mean it'll be completely transparent, right?
Right. I mean, just like I texted you, every time that they say we want to get rid of conspiracy theories, there's only one thing they're trying to get rid of, and it's the
truth.
I can't even say it on this episode, but I hope that she goes back to her stripper ways, and I really want to see that. I'm sorry. This episode got pulled down because of me, and I apologize.
It won't get pulled down anywhere else. Maybe just YouTube, or they'll surprise you. It might not get pulled down from YouTube either.
Well, we'll see. I don't think we said. Oh, sorry. I should put this out there. Israel, good. We love Israel, and I think there we go. We're good now.
Yeah. Now that you preface that, right. Good job.
Thanks.
Well, everyone, this has been episode 108.
I'm sorry. This has been just a mess. I apologize. Oh, but yeah, this has been episode 108 of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. That is, I have a need to know. Adam.
I need to change that soon. It just takes too much brain power.
Yeah. And I am the one, the only, the stripper Topher. And oh,
and
man.
That's what it looks like you're doing with your cigarette there. It's like after you're done, you're finished. Yeah.
We want to thank you all so much for listening.
Yes, we do.
This has been great, right? We did good.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been great. I'm having an issue with pulling up the globe.
I spent so much time doing musics. So
musics.
Yeah.
Wait. It's gotta be a computer problem. Oh, there it is. All right.
Hey.
All right. So everyone, come follow us on X at UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil. Topher is at Topher at all. Hit us up there. Let us know how we're doing. Help us in the algorithms on YouTube and Rumble and all those. Like our show, comment, share, get us out there. We appreciate it.
We really do.
Is that everything?
I feel like we're missing some stuff, but you know what? The listeners will understand that this is just a disaster at this point, and we are so happy that you all are listening.
Yes, thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys next week.
And see you next week.
Day by day, night by night, where do I stand? Where do I fight?
Sing it.
The conspiracy is taking me, and now I'm fighting relentlessly. What's the truth and what's the lie? Will we forever fight and die? We uncover truths and tell you what's the news, what they